by Accountants World. My name is Div Bensali. I'm a Vice President at Accountants World. And joining us today is Rick Telberg, the President of CPA Trendlines Research. Rick's webinar today is entitled 101 Ways to Make 2017 Your Best Tax Season Ever. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. A reminder, you can download this presentation directly from the GoToWebinar panel. So if you haven't downloaded the handout yet, simply click on the Handouts tab, and you'll see a PDF file in there that you can go ahead and download to follow along with Rick as he goes through his 101 tips. And because he's going to be going through them pretty quickly here, I think downloading and being able to preserve that for later on is definitely going to be useful. To a couple of other things on GoToWebinar, if you haven't used the tool or haven't used it recently, you can use the orange arrow to expand or hide the panel. In terms of audio options, you can select to listen via telephone or listen via your computer microphone and speakers. So simply select whichever option you want. If you select phone system, it will then give you a call-in number and a code to enter. Also, if you have any questions during the presentation, either for Accountants World or for Rick, go ahead and write those in, and we'll have someone who's taking a look at those during the presentation, and Rick can stick around for a couple of minutes afterwards to answer questions as well. We do offer one CP for today's webinar, and that's based on active participation during the live presentation. And active participation means responding to all poll questions in the webinar, completing the survey at the end of the webinar, and that survey launches after the webinar window is closed. We'll also send a link to that survey by email afterwards in case you don't see it, and also being logged into the event for a minimum of 50 minutes. We'll be processing the CPE certificates and emailing those out to you within 48 hours after eligibility has been confirmed. A brief word about our sponsor, Accountants World. Accountants World is the recognized pioneer in cloud computing solutions for accountants. We've been doing cloud computing for over 15 years at this point. Basically, we've been doing cloud computing for longer than the term cloud computing has existed. And the centerpiece of what Accountants World does is called the Power Practice System, and that includes all the solutions that you see on the right-hand side. There's also payroll relief, which is not included in the Power Practice System, and you see that there as well. The Power Practice System is a fully integrated bundle of cloud solutions built specifically for accountants, and includes virtually everything you need to manage your practice. It has cloud solutions for bookkeeping, write-up, trial balance, financial reporting, document management, client portals, practice management, after-the-fact payroll, and much more. Then we also offer payroll relief, which is the leading payroll processing solution for accountants. Payroll relief just was awarded 5 stars by CPA Practice Advisor. Whether you're currently offering live payroll services or not, payroll relief can significantly impact and increase your profitability by automating virtually every step of the entire payroll process. We've helped thousands of accountants to see the measurable results that you see on the left-hand side there, better control over tax, accounting, and payroll, the ability to work much more collaboratively with their clients, and higher profits in fewer hours. If you'd like to learn more about accounting or payroll or any of the other solutions we provide, please visit accountantsworld.com. And before I bring Rick Telberg in, a brief word about Rick. Rick is the President and CEO of CPA Trendlines Research, which is the leading source of actionable intelligence for data-driven decision-making by tax and accounting professionals. He's also the CEO of the Bay Street Group, LLC, and Rick has served as an advisor to countless accounting organizations. So at this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to Rick Telberg.
Div, thank you very much. Can everybody hear me okay?
You sound great.
We'll take that as a yes. And let's see, main screen. I'm showing my screen, and do the slides look okay?
Yes, I think they do.
So we've got an audio check and a visual check, and we are ready to go. Div, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today and a real honor to be connected with Accountants World. Accountants World has been truly a pioneer, a visionary in the cloud computerization of accounting and tax prep before that. So it's just wonderful to be on the among people who are on the leading edge. Today we're going to cover 101 ways, but I'm lying. We're going to cover more than 101 ways. We may be able to mention 101 ways to make this your best busy season ever, but the fact is this presentation contains almost 200 checklist items. So we're going to go through it very quickly. If just 2 or 3 of them ring a bell for some of you out there, hopefully it'll be worth your while. We're going to deliver on proven best practices, leading edge strategies, some of the newest trending innovations, and hopefully it's so you can make more money, so you can deliver some more amazing client service and maybe have more fun this tax season. So we're going to have poll questions and sidebar chats. Take advantage of that sidebar chat. It's a great way to talk with us and with each other. We're going to start with the lessons learned from 2016, and we've got a checklist on that. We've got 12 ways to stress less, which is something we all have to keep in mind every day starting in January. And then we're going to have 144 lessons learned from 40 tax seasons compiled by one of our star contributors at CPA Trendlines. And that'll go through the basics and all the major categories like communication, scheduling, processes, staffing, quality controls, down to getting paid. At the end, we're going to have some special offers from CPA Trendline so you can take advantage of the material we offer, and so you can dig down into it. There's my bio, which Div was very kind enough to mention. CPA Trendlines, we focus on data, market research. We're not about stories, we're not about personalities, we're not about news per se, we're about delivering actionable intelligence. By that I mean the most practical and practicable information available. And we do it with the best authors we can find, from Roman Kepchik to Ed Mendlowitz, to Randy Johnston, to Mark Rosenberg, to Hitendra Patil, to Martin Bissett, Jody Padar, Jean-Marie Carragher, and a bunch of other people. And I'm proud to have them on board. And here's some of their good-looking faces. Now, here's where I want to start. Over the past 3 years, from 2014, 2015, and 2016, we do a basic survey of all accountants, CPAs, EAs, anybody who's in the tax prep business, and we basically ask, how's business? In 2014, you can look at the blue lines in each of these, and it wasn't too bad. 2015 was a nightmare. 2016 was a significant improvement, and you can see the difference in going from better to worse. And there's every reason to believe that 2017 should be even better than 2016. After all, by now we've got some things figured out. We've gone through some technology cycles. We don't have a lot of big questions coming out of Congress. Not yet. 2018 is going to be really interesting. But for 2017, we should have everything figured out. If we don't have it figured out, this is our last chance to do it. So one of the things that emerged from 15 years of our survey.
Excuse me, should I go ahead and launch the first poll question?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So let me go ahead and get that first poll question out to everybody. So the poll question you should see up in front of you is, at this time, I expect 2017's busy season to be, and the choices are from much better than last year down to much worse than last year. And so if you could please go ahead and submit your vote and click the submit button. Make sure to click submit so that your vote is counted. And a reminder, voting in all 3 of the poll questions is required in order to earn CPE today. All right, so most folks have voted at this point. We'll take about 10 more seconds here for people to get their votes in. Okay, and we are going once, going twice, and we are sold. And so, Rick, we see 21% of people expect much better, 36% somewhat better, and 37% about the same. Only 6% said worse than last year.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. There's two things we see here. One is we see a tremendous amount of optimism, and it's the right time of season to be optimistic and to have that optimistic energy. You know, if I don't know if people can do this, but if you can tell us why in the chat, why you gave the answer you did. We might pick up additional information for each other on what we're worried about and what we feel confident about. But the 21% much better and the 36% somewhat better adds up to, what's that, 57% positive. And that is about where it usually is at this time. We'll check back with you at the end of the season and see how it really came out. That's always interesting to me. We started this as a stress meter to track stress during the tax season, and it's evolved into a really useful tool measuring all sorts of financial metrics. So I hope you follow us during the tax season at cpatrendlines.com. So the lessons we learned from this, we translated into a checklist. We've been doing these busy season barometers for 15 years. We've got over 200,000 responses, and it starts with, do you have sufficient staff? Are they the right people? Have you started hiring yet? Are you hiring the same people you were hiring last year? Are you changing people? How difficult is it to find people? And I'm going to digress here for a second, because one of the things we're finding is that as owner incomes are going up on a macro level for the whole industry, staff wages are going down. And that suggests to me that we're learning how to do more outsourcing, more automation, so that we can use the inherent leverage in a professional services business model. So the owners of tax prep businesses have an opportunity this year to really make more money than they ever made before. And I think that's just a really optimistic thing. Question two is, if your clients or clientele have grown this year, do you need more staff? Have you already arranged for temps to start early for next year? Do they need to come in before the busy season to learn your routines and systems? So, and the odds are, we all know someone is going to get sick or just give up. And how will you replace them on short notice? And then how do we get into training? Who needs the training? Who's going to do the training? How do you lay plans for how the training is to be done? There's Ed Mendelowitz has a very good download from CPA Trendlines called the 30-30 method, in which he explains if you can take 30 seconds to explain a 30-minute task to somebody, and they can come back to you in 30 minutes, and you can review that, then you can have an ongoing system of continuous education. And if you can build that in as a habit, it starts building up a real rhythm in a practice. We need to know what's changed in the tax law since last April, and there are a few worth noting. Is everybody up to speed? One of the biggest problems we find is that people haven't gotten up to speed. One of the biggest problems we find is that people aren't working as a team. They're not communicating very well. They don't understand the processes. There's not enough communication about understanding who does what. And there's not enough contingency planning for, which I call here a backup buddy. Does everybody have a backup buddy? Somebody can't make it. There's a snowstorm. There's always a snowstorm. It's tax season. It's winter. There will be bad weather. The systems will go down. People won't make it to work. People will have to work from home. we have to be prepared for that. And there is always a point in every tax season where we see a spike in stress levels and a drop in processing because of weather-related issues. And we have to plan for that. And then does everybody on staff understand what kind of decisions they can make and what kind of decisions they can't? Let me skip to the what-if meeting. This is a good time of year when you're talking about what-if scenarios with clients. It's also a good time of year to be talking about those what-if scenarios with the staff. And what happens if the system goes down? What happens if Joe, our best reviewer, can't make it in? What happens if you, the proprietor, break a leg? What are our backup systems? I mean, some of the biggest issues that emerge, problems in busy season, have very little to do with business and everything to do with personal health, personal stamina, family issues, personal catastrophes, the unpredictable problems. And are we building in the redundancies to deal with that so that we can still keep processing those returns, still keep getting those out, still keep getting those checks in? And then there's a whole list about clients, and we're going to go into this. By now, you should know who your problem clients are going to be, who's not responded to the tax questionnaire you sent out. Have you already started following up with those people? Have you already started making appointments? I'm sure a lot of people have started getting phone calls and emails asking for appointments. They're the ones that are easy to handle. They're proactive. What about the ones who aren't? Do you even know if they're going to be back this year? Have you locked them in? And some of the biggest problems are about late client documents. And have you adequately communicated to clients that those are the kinds of issues you need to be dealing with them on? And a rising issue is identity theft. Clients should not have any concerns about that whatsoever, and you should have a very good answer for any concerns that come up. It is a large and growing problem, as we all know, in all sectors of life, and accountants have a special fiduciary responsibility, a special legal responsibility to handle that data correctly. And then I'm going to skip to number 36 here. Are you allowing enough time? This is December. This is the holiday season. It's busy enough already. But are we scheduling enough time for family during this busy season? Have we blocked out those important weekends, those anniversaries, those birthdays? I mean, there are firms who actually take the entire staff on a skiing trip in the middle of March. They've planned that well. Can you say the same? Can you do the same? And those are huge morale boosters and disciplines to apply when you're thinking about planning ahead. And I'm going to go straight through to 42. Can you schedule downtime? Anything from a moment of meditation to a weekend off. This is a marathon, and we have to conserve our energy. We have to eat right, sleep right, live right in order to get through it. It is a grueling mental and physical period for all of us that requires the same kind of training that goes into marathon running. The people who've been doing this longest, it's second nature to them. There are still people, and we know who they are, who have still not gotten used to the idea that this is a super stressful season. So when I think about stress, I go to somebody like Sandy Leyva, one of our columnists, And she actually has a postgraduate. She's a CPA, a CITP, worked for IBM, and has a postgraduate degree in neuroscience. She's also one of the only women who has flown around the world solo in a single-engine plane. She's an amazing, amazing person. And she runs something called Accountants Accelerator, which is a great training program for building a solo or small practice into something bigger and geared to whatever lifestyle goals you have. So she has 12 ways to stress less this tax season. And it just starts with setting an intention for the day. I love her question. Do you have a question for the universe? You can substitute the spiritual deity of your choice there. But do you have a question for the world? A problem you're working on, a goal, a theme? Listen to what your intuition is showing you. I mean, so often as accountants, we downplay intuition. But for the most experienced among us, our gut tells us a lot. Stress also comes from being impolite, the normal discourtesies, the normal frictions of day-to-day life. It doesn't hurt to be just a little extra kind, a little extra patient. If we're a little extra, everybody in our organization can do it too, and our clients can too. And there's ways to turn negative thinking into positive thinking. So when your mind thinks, I'll never be, we can change it to something else. We can say, I can be. There's one thing a day, and some people have better habits at this than others, but there's one thing a day that should inspire awe, or gratitude, or wonder, and that's worth treasuring. Maybe it's a sticky note that goes up in our cubicle. Maybe it's the picture on our calendar. Maybe it's a spiritual message we remind ourselves about. These things help bring the mind back to its most productive and creative places. And then there are things to avoid. Talk radio, rock music. Sandy's not a fan of rock music. Some people can't do taxes without listening to heavy metal. I'm in that group, especially first thing in the morning and late at night when your brain is extra sensitive. There are just proven ways that we can massage our brain to work better. At 3 o'clock, everybody gets the afternoon blast. Maybe that's the time for heavy metal. Maybe that's the time for getting up and dancing. Maybe that's the time for fun. As the leaders in our offices, it's our job to make sure that we help pace people. We help recognize where the mood is at that time. And if we can build into our calendar 15 minutes at a time like 3 o'clock just to get up and walk around and check with people on how they're doing and do something fun, put on a fresh pot of coffee, bring out a birthday cake, whatever, it helps move things along. And Sandy's a big opponent of clutter. I can't say that I adhere to that. I am a big fan of clutter. If I don't see it, I'll forget about it. If I put it away, I won't do it. But for a lot of people, a cluttered desk is a bad signal to clients and a bad signal to a busy mind. Sing or whistle. Sandy likes to tell the story that at 87 years old, her dad still whistled every day. You can whistle, can't you? Remember that Lauren? Remember Lauren were calling Casablanca? And go to bed earlier. Most of us have figured that part out. And get up earlier. many of us have figured that out too. So I don't know if we have a poll question here.
Yes,
but
go ahead and get that second poll
I'll
question.
save this slide then.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Yep. Should I go ahead and launch the second poll?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So attendees, you should be seeing the second poll question in just a second here. And the question here is, what do you anticipate will be your most challenging issues? And here you can select more than one of the following. So there are 5 choices there. You can select as many of those as you want to. And then make sure to click the submit button when you finish your selections. And just a reminder, this is the second poll question. We're going to have 4 poll questions today. Voting in all of them is required in order to earn CP. And so we've got most of the people having voted at this point. We'll take about 10 to 15 more seconds here for people to finish up.
And they can answer as many or as few of these questions as they want?
That's right. Yep, it's a multiple select. Okay, so we'll take the last 5 seconds here. Going once, going twice. Okay. So Rick, we've got 69% of people are anticipating clients being late or unprepared. 36% for late or erroneous K-1s or 1099s, 31% for pricing and fee pressures, and then a little bit less for security and privacy issues or staffing issues.
That's interesting. You know, they say the same thing about retail. Retail would be great if it wasn't for the customers. The clients late or unprepared is a totally manageable issue, and the best operated firms get ahead of that. There's not much we can do about the late or erroneous K-1s, and there are certain specific things that we can do about security, privacy, and identity theft issues. Staffing is another thing that we can do better. I like the comment from Veronica, who said that she's expecting a much better season this year than last year due to more marketing efforts and a new software program to streamline processes. I think that's the kind of thing that is going to vault many owners into a better 2017. So when we look at the 2016 results, yes, clients late or unprepared scores huge, huge, huge. Staffing issues comes in second. K-1s, third, and office workflows and processes follow quickly. And these are the responses from the people who are reporting a much worse season. So when I want to go to learn about what makes tax season so hellish, I go to the people who say that they're having a tough time. And those who are having the toughest time have the toughest clients. Now, are these the right clients to have for your practice? Is this a good time when you can be winnowing out that client list? When you can be disinviting people back this year, or raising rates on the clients who cause you the biggest headaches, or referring them to your worst enemy? Maybe this is the time of year to be proactive about dealing with your client issues. And obviously it's the right time to be lining up staff, because the good people are going to get picked up very quickly. Now, from there, we're going to go to 40 years worth of tax season wisdom from Ed Mendlowitz, CPA, PFS, ABV, started his own practice, sold it to a super regional in New Jersey, and he writes a terrific book for us called How to Review Tax Returns, which is just off the charts, phenomenal bestseller. If you don't have it yet, I suggest you buy it. We have a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you read it, use it for 30 days. If you don't like it, send it back. We'll send you back your money. Total satisfaction guarantee. Ed has some great ideas. Some are simple. Some are complicated. Some are controversial. Some are old-fashioned. Ed Benowitz is an old-fashioned kind of guy, but he gets the job done. He's got 8 basics. And if you can remember these and practice these, you can forget the rest of the presentation, although stick around for the polling questions from the CPA. Think and be orderly. This is first because it creates an attitude and a culture. Remember, we are the leaders in the practice. And even if we don't own the practice, our actions, our behaviors, our attitudes rub off on everybody. We work cheek by jowl in tax season. Tax season is supposed to get better every year. And to make it better, you need to make changes. So what will you be changing this year? And let me throw that out to the chat sidebar. Just if anybody has something to contribute to what will you be changing this year, drop us a line in the chat sidebar. I'd love to see what what kind of things are going on there. One of the things that I like is from Sharon. She says she gives data deadlines. If data is received after a deadline, they get extended. If they must have it by 4/15, they pay a 25% premium. Yes, charge the 25% premium. You're worth it. That's tremendous. Sharon, you're my hero. Number 3, stop repeating the past things you're not happy about. Change some things. You know what didn't work last year. Stop doing it. Tax season success requires buy-in from partners and the entire staff. Yes, everybody has to be on the same page. The culture of the firm has to be where only the best work done the right way at the right time is acceptable. This is something we understand by training, by personality, that the work has to be done the right way, the right time. Obviously, we can calculate the costs of reworking bad work, and that is a P&L killer, as everybody knows. So our objective in running a sound tax practice is making sure we get it right the first time, and it has to be part of the culture. And we have to understand that preparing taxes is part of offering a superior client experience. And that's what we give, and what we get out of it is a bigger thing. It's how we make our living. It's how we accumulate our funds to secure our retirement. And it's a responsibility to our family and our family's family and the next generation and the families of people we work with. So we're not only responsible to our clients to do good work, we're responsible to ourselves and our families and our teammates to make this the best tax season ever. It's a mission. It's important. It gives meaning to things. And Ed's a big believer in keeping your desk clean. Okay, I give up. Both Sandy and Ed believe you need a clean desk. I'm outvoted completely. All right. Communicate, communicate, communicate. It has to be part of the culture. Heads down, nose to the grindstone is the way to get a tax return done, but it's not the way to run a business. Heads up, listening, talking to people is the way to run a business. Open postal mail. Remember postal mail? And take care of and assign files or cards. Move the material through the system quickly. Do the same with emails. Everybody knows the system. Look at it, touch it once, and move it on. And then you don't necessarily have to be the one who's returning some phone calls for a client meeting. It is easy enough to find somebody to handle the phone work these days. And global economy being what it is, they don't always have to be in your office. Ed believes in returning phone calls with return emails with phone calls, and I think that's a brilliant idea because we have a habit of responding to an email saying, "Got it, thanks, get back to you tomorrow, or whatever. Ed's policy is escalate. Get it clear the first time. You got an email from a client, give them a call, make sure you understand what the issue is, so there can be no misunderstanding and no miscommunication. It takes much less time responding to an email with a phone call rather than writing a response with all the caveats added that you have to put in writing. And send an email to a client with a time range that you will return their call or respond to their email if you can't handle it right away. And put it on the calendar. Schedule the toughest clients early. Schedule the complicated transactions early. Coordinate a big returns completion with the technical reviewer so you can get that heavy-duty technical expertise in there early. And establish realistic work and staff schedules. Being realistic extends to providing deadlines when we'll have the work completed. There's a temptation to schedule someone that worked on a return last year to do it this year. That's not a good idea. That person will do the same return every year. Ed says it can go on for 20 years. This means there's no growth for that staff person on that client and also for the firm. And at some point, there'll be no new look at that client. So move the work around. Get some fresh eyes on the work. And you'll find new opportunities there. And every firm has clients that are going to make excessive calls. One way to reduce that is to schedule these returns to take into account when you'll have a preparer ready to work on the return as soon as you receive their tax information. Checklist, checklist, checklist. There are some firms that, and they're some of the biggest firms, they discourage checklists. They think you should have this in your head. They think that you should remember everything. They think you should be able to figure it out. Tax prep is an industrial process. It requires an industrial approach. Checklists are absolutely essential. So if you can develop a checklist out of all the checklists that we're providing here today, maybe you can come up with the right checklist just for your firm. Your staff needs to report on schedule and meet deadlines and follow all procedures. Hey, that's non-negotiable. And when we're talking about processes, we have to be cognizant of the backlog and deal with that. We can't let it build up. I'm going to move a little quicker now. One thing we should be looking at our processes for is reducing the number of touches for every every product. The product being the return. Multiple touches equals vanishing profits. We've got the technology to do it now. We've got smart scanners. And we've got workflow applications that can move these things a lot quicker. And if you remember two things to get things done, it's TIO, touch it once, and DIN, do it now. When we're talking about staffing, we have to understand the types of staff and schedule based on people's strengths and weaknesses. Everybody's a little different, and we want to be flexible to people's schedules. People have lives. And we want to be prepared for the issues that need to be researched early. It's about being responsive and being on top of things. Partners that learn something during the year that will affect the preparation need to transmit it to the people working on the return, including the reviewer, or make sure they have access to it and that the firm's procedures require looking into it. there's too much hoarding of information, hoarding of clients. And in fact, the client belongs to the firm, and the client is best served by a firm-wide approach. There's plenty of options for staffing. There's per diem, there's outsourcing, there's interns. Contact the local colleges and their accounting programs. They've got people who are happy to help you staff up. After March 15th, evening and night overtime can be limited just to the tax prep services. The test of whether non-tax work can be done is if the overtime would be required if it wasn't tax season. So tax preparation days can be scheduled where everyone can work just on individual returns. And we talked about the cost of rework. Instead of using the term review, and we have that product, how to review tax returns, think of it as quality control or technical review. This might elevate the attitude of the preparer to spend more time checking their work before submitting it for QC. They need to give it an extra 5 or 10 minutes before it goes to the reviewer. Those errors and redos cost money and reduce earnings. We need everybody to understand that they have to find their own errors before handing in their work for review. And if they're not finding their own errors, then we're failing to train them properly and communicate properly. And it should go without saying, we need to use qualified technical reviewers. Not everybody can be a technical reviewer. They're not born. They have to be developed and trained, and they can do great data entry, but the value to the client will be in the issues review that comes up in the QC, and that's where we want to focus partner level attention. And maybe we have the opportunity to create specialists, and people can have their own domains of expertise that they can look at and become specialists in it, and they can be the go-to sources for certain things. But most of all, review and quality control procedures really need to be set in stone and part of the culture. The value is the sum total of the client's benefits from interacting with the tax preparer, the need to exceed the cost to the client from a tangible and intangible perception. And the client gets value more in excess of what they feel like they're paying. That's the real value proposition. Not does the client feel like they're paying fairly, but does the client feel like they got a good deal? They got something extra. It's about a commitment to excellence. This is the time to really think about a mindset, a philosophy, a heartfelt embrace of doing nothing but the best work, the right way, the most efficient way for the benefit of clients and the benefit of our firm and everybody in it. The better the preparation, the greater the productivity. The lower the number of errors, the lower the review time. And it all goes straight to the bottom line. Now, there's a tendency for preparers to correct every error they make, no matter how insignificant or easy it would be for the reviewer to make the change. And that's not a bad idea. But an extreme illustration is that a single error on the return is a zip code that has an error 1 digit that the technical reviewer caught. And I would have the preparer make that change. Not the technical reviewer. Send it back. Let the preparer make that change. This is an investment in the firm's training and culture, and it drives the activities. And it shouldn't be treated as a costly tactic. It should be considered as a training tactic. Invest today, dividends tomorrow. Expediency today is just continued Sally operations. SALY, we all know it stands for same as last year. Activities with no growth. Bottom line on quality control, zero tolerance for errors. Send it back. Let's look at our clients for a few minutes. Identify how you would like clients to think about you and then act that way. Really, what are the
Yeah. Rick, sorry to interrupt for a second.
Did I skip a poll?
The next poll right now?
I think we're ready for that poll.
Yeah, okay. I'll go ahead and launch the third poll then.
Sorry, I get carried away.
No, that's great. Okay, next poll should be up now. Attendees, poll question, compared to 2016, how do you think the next 12 months shape up for your firm? Better, worse, or about the same? Select one of the following, and please go ahead and click submit as soon as you have that ready to go.
And this is really a question on your sense of confidence in how your firm is going to perform vis-a-vis the condition of your clients, the condition of the economy. It's about what level of confidence things look like at this point. And we are at a point of a certain amount of uncertainty considering the political environment we're at.
Okay, we'll take just another 10 seconds here if anyone has not finished voting yet. And remember to click the submit button to make sure your vote gets counted for CPE purposes. All right, going once, going twice. Okay, Rick, 63% better and 32% about the same. Only 4% said worse.
Excellent, excellent. I want to come back to those better people about 5 months from now and see what really happened. By the way, Hitendra Patil posted in the sidebar a great post on tax season stress, 5 easy ways to detox your mind. It's worth a read. Moving right along, let's talk about clients. And it's about the touchy-feely thing. Touchy-feely is not a bad thing. It's about understanding what's really at the heart of the client's issues. What are their goals? What do they want to leave their kids? What are they saving money for? It's about understanding the client in a holistic way so that you can serve them better beyond the tax return. And this, of course, then goes on to those value-add services you can provide in the off-season that are good high-margin services. Look for opportunities to wow a client. It's an unexpected phone call, unexpected gift. Be user-friendly. One of the ways to be user-friendly is not just to have all of the technological systems in place so that people can communicate with you in any way that they want to, but it's also in going over your communications to clients and giving them one instruction at a time. The 10-page tax advisory memo that people send out in December does not get read. Think in terms of 10 different email messages to your clients that tells them one thing at a time. You know who your biggest time wasters are, and this is the time to figure out how to handle that. You know who the clients are who call numerous times, and you know the hazards of giving them a partial, incomplete, potentially wrong answer. You know the clients who don't respond, who slow up your process, and they need to understand about the importance of their cooperation. And there's just no other way to do it. You're a professional. You have to tell them the difficult news, the tough love. You know the time wasters. You know the promises you make and the promises you have to keep. And everybody working on a client needs to understand every commitment and deadline made with that client. So there's an argument there for really centralizing client relationship data in a common system. CRM. There's many ways to approach it, but everybody needs to know what's going on with that client. And we can't put off unhappy surprises. The client owes money, they have to be apprised immediately. Who knows what they have to do to come up with the money? They want the heads up. When returns are worked on piecemeal, the end results are not clearly evident until submitted to a reviewer. So being aware of this can make you more sensitive to trying to avoid those last-minute responses. It kind of boils down to simple courtesy, just letting clients know when you receive their info, what else you need from them, when you need it, what form it has to take, and how important it is that they get back to you really quickly. And we have to understand clients aren't going to remember a gosh darn thing. They're not going to remember what we told them yesterday. They get overwhelmed with information. So we have to be able to give them exactly the information they need at exactly the right time to get the exact right thing from them when we need it. And that requires a kind of constant connection, a real back and forth. We can't take the information and disappear for 6 weeks and expect to come up with a good product or a happy client. And we have to get into a conversation with clients about their lives. Have they changed? Changed jobs, changed spouses, kids, colleges, retirements, relocations. These are the kinds of things we have to make sure that we're right on top of. Excite your clients. I love this one. It's similar, but not the same as wow. Okay, a wow is usually delivering something unexpected. But how about thinking about exciting our clients by sending them a reprint of an article written by a member of the firm, or exciting them by publicizing an award that somebody in the firm got or the firm got, or a charitable function hosted by the firm, or by announcing a promotion of a favorite staff person. Clients have a lot invested emotionally and financially in their accounting firm. They want to know that their accounting firm is the best one available for them, and if we don't toot our own horns, who the heck will? And we need to pay attention to danger signals. For example, a client that has never complained about your fee now has a complaint. What changed? What happened? Fee issues obviously have to be handled sensitively, and we have an opportunity this December to send out the letters that tell everybody that prices are going up in January. People understand it. It doesn't have to be much for most people. It could be just a couple percentage points. There's a different letter that goes out to the clients who are not our favorites. And, you know, those are double-digit price increases. But it helps us manage our client expectations. And it helps us understand and anticipate those danger signals. If we send out a fee increase letter and people stop returning our calls, we know we've got an issue that has to be resolved.
Rick, sorry to interrupt for a second since we only have a few minutes left here. Should I go ahead and do the fourth poll question right now, and then we can continue on for another couple of minutes, and then I'll do my closing?
Terrific. Thank you, Dave.
Sure. Okay, so let me go ahead and launch this one. Okay, folks, you should be seeing the fourth poll question in front of you. And so this one is, how do you think 2017 will shape up for your clients? So the same as question number 3, but now instead of your firm, we're talking about how you think it's going to be for your clients, better, worse, or about the same. So please go ahead and select one of the following options, click the submit button to make sure that you get your CP credit for today.
I love this question because sometimes we see a disparity. Let's see if it turns up. We have a pretty good handle on how our clients are doing, and we understand how their business is affected by the economy, by regulatory issues, by tax issues, by what's going on in their lives. And if we have a sense that most of our clients are going to do better or most of our clients are going to do worse, then we have a hard time reconciling a different pattern for how our firms are going to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll take just another 5 seconds or so here. If anybody has not voted yet, please go ahead and do so. And we are closed. And so, Rick, very quickly, the results are very similar to what we saw on the firm side. 94% of people say better or about the same. Only 6% say worse for clients as well.
There's a small gap between the people who said better and the people. 63% of folks said their firm was going to have a better year. As far as clients are concerned, they said 55% of their clients are going to have a better year. There's a gap there that if clients aren't going to have a better, if 63% of your clients aren't going to have a better year, how are 63% of the firms going to have a better year? This is a business issue. Never take clients for granted. And I think this is proof of that. I'm going to cut through to the chase here. There are some great points here about saving time and reducing work and smoothing workflows. Some of this is controversial, some of it's applicable, some of it isn't. But I think the fact is that things change, and we have to change with or keep ahead of those changes. There are special responsibilities for partners and leaders in the firm, and the role partners have, and the fact that partners can't hide during tax season. They have to be out front, in front, the first point of contact for the client, and their time is best served dealing with the high-level issues and managing the practice. And training is essential. By now, we've figured out a little bit about what we learned, good and bad, from 2016, and if we can apply a sharing attitude to the firm as a whole, we'll be better off for it. We're a knowledge industry. Knowledge management is the key to everything we do. Sharing knowledge, doing it in a smart way and not overloading people is the right way to do it. Overall, it's a commitment to sharing knowledge and being generous. If there's one thing I can say about billing and collections and getting paid, send the bill no later than with the return. Send the bill before the return. Send the bill when you start on the return. Don't send it after the return. You can ask for a retainer up front. Get that commitment. And if there's a final 4 or 5 things, you can just take this one slide and nail it to the wall. Tax season requires a deliberate plan, leadership management, and everyone's buy-in. Management doesn't happen. It needs thoughtful attention. Success depends on us. We have to do things the right way at the right time. And it's worth being excited about and having fun. Tax season is a great learning experience for any professional. We learn so much about the technical aspects of the code. We learn so much about how to run a business. We learn so much about each other and our clients. That ought to be fun. It's tax season. There is no tomorrow. It is about 3 o'clock on the East Coast. Start now. We've got some special deals for you. They're in your deck. Take a look at some of the products that might help. And with that, I want to thank Div and everybody at Accountants World for this opportunity to share this. And I wish everybody happy holidays, a terrific new year, and the best tax season ever.